Just 3 months into owning my first investment property, I realized I had made a big mistake. Not with the property itself, but with the property manager. If you are choosing a property manager right now, or if you are dealing with one that is making you uncomfortable, this one is for you. Now, before we dive in, I need to say I am not a financial advisor. I am not an expert. I am just someone who is documenting what I'm learning along the way. Nothing I share is financial advice. Please do your own research and speak with qualified professionals before you make any investment decisions. Now, let me be honest, I did not choose them. I just accepted the recommendation. My buyer's agent said, "Here's a property manager you can use." And I said, "Okay." They did mention I could do my own research. I was lazy. Or maybe I just trusted them because the BA was experienced. Their recommendation would be solid. Either way, I did not ask questions. I did not interview anyone else. I just went with it. A big mistake. What I found out later, the property manager was friends with the selling agent. The selling agent gave the reference. So there was already a relationship there that I knew nothing about. Now, that should have been a red flag, but I did not know to look for it. Here is what I learned. Even when someone experienced recommends someone, that does not mean they are right for you. You still need to do your own checks because you are the one who will be dealing with them for a month or years, not anybody else. Now let's talk about what exactly happened. There are a couple of them which happened, right? The emails were not getting answered. I would send question and hear nothing for days. When I called, they did not recognize me even after I said I am the owner of property that you are managing. And then they would be like, take a pause and, oh, okay, how can we help? Very cold, very disconnected. At first, I thought maybe I was being too demanding. Maybe this is just how property managers operate. But the feeling kept growing that something was not right. My tenant reported a few maintenance problems, normal stuff, things that need fixing. The property manager forwarded these to me for approval, which I gave immediately as I wanted the tenants to be looked after. A few weeks later, I followed up. Hey, what happened with those repairs? And property manager said, what repairs? These issues were never reported. Now, I was confused. I forwarded their own email back to them. Then suddenly, oh yes, now we remember. Half the issues had no record, no tracking. It was like they had just forgotten. The worst one was the evaporative cooler. It was summer. The cooler was not working. The tenant reported it. I approved the repairs and then nothing happened. 2 months. 2 months in summer without a working cooler. Every time I followed up, they acted like the issue was not in their system. I would forward their email trail, then they would say, all right, we'll look into it now. Eventually, it got fixed, but the damage was done. My tenant was frustrated, I was frustrated, and I started to realize this was not just bad luck, this was how they operated. I had had enough. I contacted them and said, I am breaking the agency agreement. I am moving to a new property manager. That is when they asked, what is wrong? I listed everything: the lack of communication, the ignored maintenance request, the disorganization. Their response: we only missed one email and you want to leave over that. Can you believe it? I could tell this was not going anywhere, so I just said I was done. Then they dropped something onto me. Well, the tenant is breaking the lease anyway, so you can move to new PM as soon as you want. Wait, what? The tenant is breaking the lease? And when were you planning to tell me that? They also did not push back on 30-day notice period in the agreement. They just let me go, and honestly, that told me everything I needed to know. If they cared about keeping my business, they would have fought harder to fix things. When I switched to the new property manager, he started handling the tenant's exit process because the tenants were so done with the property manager as well. And that is when things got worse. He told me the tenant says no bond was ever lodged and they never signed any entry condition report because one was never provided to them. I was stunned. No bond lodged, no entry condition report. These are not optional things, these are basic, non negotiable parts of managing a tenancy. The new PM also mentioned he was having trouble getting paperwork transferred from the old property manager. Everything was just slow and messy. And then the tenant told him directly that they were leaving because they had the same communication issues with the property manager that I did. Emails ignored, repairs delayed, unprofessional behavior. So it was not just me, the tenant was dealing with the same problems, and it costed me a good tenant. This time, when I went to find a new property manager, I did it properly. I contacted three property managers based on their rankings on Google reviews. I interviewed them and asked the questions I should have asked the first time. Now, here is what I asked, but this is again not a comprehensive list. The first thing I checked was what is your preferred method of communication, whether it's email, phone, website, what is it? Second, what is your typical response time to owners' inquiries? Then I all because these are all the issues I was facing. The third I asked, do you have a system in place to track maintenance requests and tenant issues? Then how quickly do you advertise a property when a new tenant gives notice to vacate? What is the average vacancy period for the properties you manage? How many investment properties do you manage? Now, here's the thing, anyone can lie in a sales pitch. I know that, but I also told them exactly what has happened with my previous property manager and why I was looking for someone new. And I paid attention to how they responded to that. Did they take it seriously? Did they ask follow up questions? Or did they just brush it off? One of them just gave generic answers. The other one actually engaged with my concern and explained how their system would prevent those issues. That is the one I choose. And honestly, a lot of it was gut feeling. You know when you're talking to someone whether they actually care or whether they are just trying to close the deal. The difference is night and day. My current property manager responds to emails the same day. If I call, they either pick up immediately or call me back within a few hours. They are open to all types of communications email, phone, text, whatever works. They are professional in how they deal with both me and the tenants. They have set processes and proper tools in place to track everything. Maintenance requests do not disappear. Issues get resolved quickly. And actually, I feel they are managing my property, not just collecting a fee every month. That is what it should feel like. And if it does not feel like that with your property manager, then something is wrong. Here is what I took away from this experience. Never skip the research. Even when someone experienced gives you a recommendation, recommendations are a starting point, not the end point. You still need to do your own due diligence. Ask the hard questions upfront. Do not wait until there is a problem. Ask about communication processes, response times, systems, what happens when things go wrong, and pay attention to how they answer. Do not stay out of loyalty or guilt. If it is not working, leave. You are paying them to provide a service. If they are not providing it, you owe them nothing. A good property manager is worth every cent. I pay a slightly higher fees than I used to pay before, but the value I get is completely different. A good PM is not a cost. They are an investment in protecting your assets and keeping good tenants. If you are about to choose a property manager, do not do what I did. Do not just accept the first name someone gives you. Interview at least two or three. Ask questions, check reviews, talk to other investors if you can, and trust your instinct when something does not feel right. Your property manager is one of the most important people in your investment team. Choose carefully. Drop a comment if you have had property manager horror stories. I would love to hear that I am not the only one.